specific questions for you as well. So you can unmute.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, great. Who is that?
Patricia Miller.
Patricia.
You know me as Patty, Jerry.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
So give me your address.
1804 West Main.
1804 West Main. Okay, great. That way, when we get to that section, I can talk to you directly. How's that?
Okay, that's fine.
Great, thank you. And be sure to ask any questions. Is there anybody else that either lives along there or has a business along there?
Yes.
So is that Mr. Rysel?
Yes.
Okay, great. And what's your address?
1811 West Main.
1811, okay. Okay, so we'll make sure that we are giving you the information that you need when we get to that section as well. Anyone else? No? Well, great, we're gonna start. And Patty and Louis, just interrupt me anytime if you have a question about your section or anything. It doesn't matter. We'll just take it from here and we'll answer questions as we go. So, excuse me. So this informational meeting is about West Main Street. There's two contracts, 12th to 17th, and that's the continuation of the streetscape, and then 17th to 28th. And we're going to talk about the 12th to 17th first, but in a really short way because those plans are not completed yet. So the 12th to 17th project on Main Street it's a rehabilitation of the existing pavement. We will be reconstructing all the curb and gutter, reconstructing the sidewalks to meet ADA, and that includes widening some of the sidewalks when we need to get that ADA requirement. And then streetscape lighting is on that contract as well, and then sewer separation. And this is a very short contract. It's only 5 blocks, but its construction cost is $1.5 million. That's a lot of money for 5 blocks, but this is the 5th phase of the streetscape improvement. And so it really needs to be done. We have applied for Illinois Transportation Enhancement Grant. We've applied for almost $1 million. So we're just waiting, first of all, to hear if we've gotten that money or not. The interesting thing about this project, and it's just like all the other streetscape projects, because the buildings are so close to the sidewalk. Well, they are on the sidewalk. We needed 54 easements to get this one constructed, and we've got about half of those already signed. So people have been really generous along this section of West Main Street. I think it's because they can see how great West Main Street looks. And so we just continuing to reach out to those, the rest of those easement properties. So this is just to give you an example of what, in case you forget, what this section of West Main looks like. And then this is an example of what the streetscape looks like. So this is what's coming for the rest of 12th to 17th Street for those 5 blocks. So this is the potential, if we can get our funding, that the rest of Main Street all the way to 17th Street will look like. Okay, that's all I have for that because we don't have a lot of details. But I also wanted to say real quick, a lot of people have asked me why in this section of West Main, why we didn't get bump outs, as many bump outs as we do have like downtown. And so I wanted to let you know that the Illinois Historic Preservation Office, IHPA, would not allow us to do bump outs here for businesses, for restaurants, because this is a historic neighborhood. It's been deemed a historic neighborhood, and this roadway design with bump outs is not a historic design for roadways. So the reason that this doesn't have, this section and the next section, 12th to 17th, doesn't have bump outs like at every restaurant is because the state would not allow it because of the historic nature of this area. Now, we do have a couple bump outs, and the reason we do have those is because it was impossible to get the ADA requirement without pushing the sidewalk out. There's just no way to get people into buildings. And like this next section, like the areas like the League Lounge, we're going to bump the sidewalk out there because we just can't make our ADA requirements without doing that. So I just wanted to give you an update on why this section doesn't have as much bump outs, because the state wouldn't allow it.
And that's why we had to do a bump out at 10th Street Bakery. It was not because we were trying to do Don a favor, it's because we couldn't maintain ADA without it.
Correct. That's whenever we come up with our ADA design, it has to go to the state, and then it goes and the feds look at it as well. So we're doing the best that we can with the with the cross section that we have. It's really difficult in these old sections to make all of this work for ADA requirements. But you know, as you see, like everybody, I mean, it takes a long time to get this stuff done, but it looks great. And we're really looking forward to getting 12th to 17th Street done as well.
And Jerry, if I can say one more thing, I think you said it, but I was distracted because I was answering a text. Shame on me. You talked about the sewer separation there too?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I know just from when Rita and I were at for many years, the business was at 14th and Main. We would have sewer backups in the basement all the time. So this sewer separation should help those people who are struggling with backups. We believe by separating it, it's going to make a difference in a lot of those buildings, as far as how the sewer would react during just even an inch of rain or less.
Right, and so we've already separated from 6th to 12th, basically. Yeah. And so this will just be the continuation of that. So we're really looking forward to having that done. And these rains that are coming, it always makes us a little nervous, but we're going to get this, we'll get this funded, and we should score very high because the engineering is started on this. The preliminary engineering is complete and it's been approved by IDOT already. And then the final engineering is being done right now. All right, anybody have any questions on this section? So we'll go on to 17th to 28th Street. So 17th to 28th Street is going to be the rehabilitation of the existing pavement, and then it's going to be the reconstruction of sidewalk ramps at the cross streets to meet ADA. So this is about 3/4 of a mile project. Its construction cost is right at $900,000. It has $623,000 of surface transportation funding. So surface transportation funding is just like it sounds. It's really for the surface of the roadway to rehabilitate the surface. This project was actually on last Friday's letting, and Chris Brothers Asphalt was the low bidder. So this project is ready to start. As soon as the asphalt plants are up and running, I would think that we would see, I'm sure Chris has a sub that's going to come in and do the sidewalks, ADA ramps at the cross streets. And then as soon as the asphalt plants are up and running, I'm sure you'll see them milling, you know, grinding off that pavement. We said last time, it's just like taking the icing off of a cake and then putting icing back on. So
and if you notice that road, especially around the old Fisher's Restaurant, 2200, in places is really starting to pop off the surface. We patch it quite often, so this is just in time before it starts to get really bad. We're also looking at, ladies and gentlemen, if there's any really, now we don't have an abundance of money, but if there's any really bad sidewalk or curb, we're going to get that replaced also. We're studying it now. Our city engineer and myself and a couple of us staff are looking, and if there's something that's crumbling, we won't ignore it during this project, but we don't have the money to replace all new sidewalks and curbs.
Right, and there is intermittent in this project. There is intermittent sidewalk being replaced. So let's just talk about, like, this project is basically going to start at St. Mary's, and we're going to remove all of the pavement. So that's what this hatched line is. And then at the cross streets, like I said, we will replace the sidewalk at the cross streets so that we can make it work for ADA. And in this section, the sidewalk is, we've got the sidewalk that we need. We just don't have the sidewalk parameters at the side streets. They don't fit the current ADA standards. And then it ends, go ahead.
No, I just had a thought I didn't want to forget because people might wonder. We're not doing any lamppost on this section from 17 to 28.
Yeah.
We don't have the money.
Right. And so this ends at the Circle K. It ends right past this intersection here. And you can see how bad the pavement is. And so again, pavement, all this, we are skipping the railroad track, okay? The railroad track actually, not too long ago, they've replaced that. So we're gonna we like to stay away from the railroad track because the railroad's not easy to work with. So we will be removing all of the pavement, you can see. And then you can always see here, like again, at the cross streets, we're gonna be working on the sidewalks as well. Okay, now I know that was like a really quick rundown of this. So I want to answer any questions from Patty and Mr. Reiself, because you actually, do you own the cleaners?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
One of the things in the late 80s when West Main Street was done, one of the beneficial things was they used a matte material underneath the asphalt. And that seems to have kept that road in very good shape. When they mill, are they going to mess up that matting material that was laid underneath?
No, we will not get into that material. That material will be left intact. So we'll just be grinding off just that 2 inches of surface and then putting that 2 inches of surface back down.
Okay.
They put that down. They put that down years ago, Jerry, because I had a lot of brick underneath that, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, and it keeps all the cracks, at every seam where brick comes together from reflecting through to the asphalt. And because if you don't do that, then the asphalt would just have been, rubberized. And so we are actually at your place, because we've talked about this. You do not have access to that lot next door to you for parking. So we did do a curb cut there. And you will get an entrance then on that lot.
All right, very fine. Thank you.
Yeah. And Patty, what about you? What kind of questions do you have?
Well, the 18th Street, which is right between St. Mary's and our house, the drainage, I don't know if you'll do anything there, but the way that I think it's chat and tar, but it's broken up through time, and there is a sewer right at the edge of our property, but it has trouble. The water sometimes has trouble getting to the sewer because of that, the roadway. Will any of that get taken care of or not?
We'll take a look at it. I made a note right now, and I'll talk to the sewer lines and to Randy Smith, who oversees that department. And we'll look at that drain and see. Sometimes there's been some damage over the years right underneath the catch basin. But we'll take a look at that before they get started, because if there's something that's clearly can be improved, we'll work on that. We'll get that taken care of.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Okay.
I have a question. This is Jill Yakel.
Yeah.
And I may have missed it because I was driving, so I'm sorry. I'm listening to this in my car. What is the time frame? When is this supposed to start for this second section?
Jerry's on mute, I think. I'll let her give that speech over.
Sorry, not sure how I got on mute because I was talking the whole time. So this section is already led, and so as soon as the contracts are sent through the state and approved, then they should be able to get started. So I would think we're looking at right now, probably toward the end of April. The contractors they have a lot of work coming up for the summer. So I'm sure this is a small enough job that I would think they would jump in here and get this thing done quickly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Roughly, how long do you think it's going to take for that section?
You know, it's probably going to take about a month to get all the concrete work done. And then the milling and resurfacing that'll be done in a week. It's just, that's the most fun part of a project because they'll just come in and mill it and then just put the asphalt down and it'll look like a brand new road. So this is not a very lengthy project because milling and resurfacing goes so fast.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so by the end of the spring, probably early summer, this will be done. And if you guys have any that live along here, if you have any questions while the construction's going on, you can always just call the mayor's office or there'll be an engineer out on site. And so you can always just, if they're in front of your area, you can always just go and talk to somebody and we'll get any answers to any questions that you have.
Yeah, we'll do our best not to disrupt business. I'm not saying when they do the milling and resurfacing, there'll be a day or two but it moves really pretty quick.
It does.
Hey, Anissa, Chester Johnson has his hand up and has a question. Chester, do you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Yes, I live on the 1500 of West Main, and my sidewalk has been ripped up. And in the summertime, it be elderly people come by and has failed. And I was wondering, are you all gonna? Is that priority on in front of my home like that? Cause sidewalk is all chewed up.
Sir, this is Mark Eckert, the mayor. Are you at 15? What's your address?
1518.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at it right now and see if there's anything temporary we can do, or if we just need to put a barricade there. I don't want to do anything too extravagant because if we get this grant money, you're going to get all new sidewalks and curbs and a new roadway when we do that next phase. But if there's a real bad trip and fall hazard, we'll take a look and see if we can patch something because it might be a year till the whole thing's redone, but we're going to get it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And Chester, your sidewalk, when we do the project, the sidewalk in front of your property is going to be wider than it is now. So it'll be a nice wide sidewalk there.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions that Jerry or I can answer for you?
I have a question.
Yes, who's this?
Patty Gregory.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I noticed, I went back and rewatched Centerville Avenue, and I noticed that there was no mention of how much the city paid for engineering on that project. And I'm just wondering, since this has federal funds also attached to it, was there a quality based selection review process done on this project? And what exactly is the city paying for engineering for the West Main improvement?
So I can just say for Patty that anytime you do a federal project, this is just a rough percentages. It's usually about 16% because it's about 8% of the construction cost to do the project development report. And then it costs about another 8% of the construction cost to do the engineering on it. So that just gives you a rough idea of how much engineering costs in general.
Okay. So also, was there a review process done on this?
As we said, the first meeting for Forest Avenue, I was not on it at the Centerville Avenue one. I was sick. Was I? I was on Centerville. I wasn't on Forest. Okay, I'm sorry. One of those weeks I was home with COVID. We went out for qualifications a couple years ago, And then we probably will do it again, or it would be recommended to do it again after May 1st of this year, probably. I don't know the exact, but it was about 3, 4. Jerry, do you remember when we did it 3, 4 years ago?
I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. You went for qualifications for various engineering
Yes.
projects, so you didn't have to go for RFQ every single time you had a project.
And keep in mind, when Tim Gregowitz left in September of, I guess that was it 19? I guess he left because we didn't. Michael didn't get here until February of 20. You're just here at a year now, right, Michael? I think during that time, wasn't it then actually, or was it before then that we turned in this grant for 17th to 28th, Jerry?
It was before that.
Before that, okay.
Yeah.
I know that Tim had a request, but Kaspersky had the most points in the evaluation for road projects when we did this a couple years ago, and we'll do it again. But like I said, we've had quality work. They've given us good price. It's a woman-owned minority company, and they're here in Belleville. They're right downtown. So I believe in doing as much engineering, reaching out to engineers locally that are in this area, and we have. And if you think about it, right now we got, Tuvenel Wade Merchant are doing an enormous amount of, probably have the biggest engineering contract of anybody with the wastewater treatment plant ongoing work. Gonzalez has been doing a number of watershed and drainage issues for us. Volkert's doing some work. I think they're doing the 400 block of Virginia. And our other one the other night was doing our permits for us, the other engineering firm. It's divided up. And Michael, jump in here, but there's quite a few of them. All have a piece of the action, but they all are judged on what their specialties are.
Could you tell me who is on the quality review committee? Because
Yeah,
I know we couldn't do that at the Centerville Avenue.
No, we
weren't for sure.
We had, when we did this, went out for proposals of qualifications, it was Tim Gregowitz, it was Kenny Vaughn, it was Jason Poole. Jason, you're on here now on the call. Can you remember anybody else who was on that group to review them?
Mayor,
This Michael, that's what I saw on the documents. When I was going through the documents to answer the FOIA on that.
Okay.
Those were the only names I saw, Mayor.
Okay. And that, do you remember the date of that, Michael? Do you remember running across that?
Well, the QBS came out. It was May of 2019, if I recall correctly.
Okay, so it's not been that long ago, Patty.
Okay, because when you first talked about it, when I asked the question on Centerville Avenue on February 23rd, 2021, I think you said it was like 3 years ago.
Well, I lose track of time, dear.
And then I also wanted to know if the Lebanon Avenue improvement, which will be coming up, also has federal funding. How do we know how many people actually put in for the quality bid review process?
Hey, Mayor, if you and Patty could continue this conversation, so it doesn't hold all these people up.
Yeah, you should call me, Patty, because I mean, we can, I think your FOIA somebody sent on your behalf should have a lot of this information in there, right, Michael?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I think we have a question from Linda and Mark Schaefer. Is that correct?
Hi, Schaefer's. Go ahead.
I'm curious. I missed the very first part of the meeting. So when is your projected start date for 12th to 17th Street?
We don't know yet, Linda. We're trying to secure the grant money. Representative Hoffman is trying to help us. We've applied. When the governor was in Belleville a year ago or whenever that was, when he came to the food pantry, that day he asked me, he said, what's going on with the road project? And I said, well, we're funded to 12th Street, but we're trying to get it from 12th to 17th. He looked at the sidewalks and he said, boy, they sure need it. I hope we can help you with that. We're going through the process right now because it's a continuation and we've learned a great deal on that first stretch. I think it should be able to, once we get the funding, I think we should be able to move pretty quickly, but we're waiting to get the nod from the state on the funding of that grant. They're real good about doing continuations so they can see a whole stretch done, but we do not officially have the funding yet, so I can't give you any good target dates for starting.
And COVID really has pushed back these selection process. So
yes.
Hopefully we'll hear something soon, and we will let everybody know along there. We'll send you all a letter to let you know if it's been funded and what's happening with it.
Jerry, I have a question. I mean, is the public invited to view the reviews?
What are you talking about? The review of the plan?
Quality-based reviews.
We've never made it a public meeting. You have staff. I mean, if you're not an engineer or a street director, really understanding all the different technical stuff, I mean, we're not hiding anything. We're going to do it. We'll do it again. It's been 3 years, but it's we're not, folks. Yeah, this meeting's not about QBS, and I think you're getting tracked. When you went back to the Centerville Avenue project, just let me say this. You asked several questions there, Patty, but let me make it clear. Had it not been for Jerry standing up with us when they did all the remediation on West Main at 6th and Main, she's the one that came to me and said, I think the city ought to demand that they pay for the wear and tear on Centerville Avenue. And we sat down with our city attorney, Jerry and I, we put the stuff together, we negotiated it, and thanks to her, we got that $300,000 match agreed to be paid by Ameren for all their inconvenience and for all the easements and stuff that we didn't charge them for to do everything on our land. So
I do remember that being discussed at the Centerville Avenue.
Okay.
February 23rd. I noticed that $400,000 was paid last year for professional engineering services and to one firm. I noticed that
you say you want to do, you just go there and tap on that and it raises your hand and they'll call on you whenever.
So I did have a question about, I noticed that Gonzalez was $200,000. Unless I read it wrong in the city, on the city website in 2020, and that another engineering firm received $400,000. So how many other engineering firms were involved in 2020?
For the whole city?
Yeah.
We're going to have to, Patty, you're going to have to, we're getting away from this meeting.
I'll just call you so other people can get in.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So is there any other questions on the project that we're talking about tonight? No? Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate that. She's like, no. So Mark Schaefer, do you have any questions? I think you're on mute. Nope, no questions? Okay, perfect. All right, so if there's no other questions, gosh, we're looking forward to this again. This is so fun, right? So March 16th, we're back on to talk about the Lebanon Avenue improvements. This is just at the very beginning of construction planning. And so we won't have a lot of details on here, but what we're really looking for on Lebanon Avenue improvements is to hear from the residents of the problems that they see so that we can make sure that the sooner we can address this stuff up front, the better it is for us. And it's when we normally have public meetings, we don't hardly get anybody to come. And actually we're getting a lot more participation this way. So that's great. So if you have any friends that live on Lebanon Avenue, please tell them to log in on March 16th and we'll look forward to seeing everybody then. Really appreciate you guys logging in. And again, if you live along the projects and you have any questions,